to this month's segment of Caron Conversations. My name is Kate Appleman. I'm a clinical director in men's treatment here at Caron. I'm joined today by Erin Goodhart, clinical director for women's treatment at Caron Treatment Centers. Erin, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
In the face of the dating world in the past few years, there's been some pretty drastic changes as it relates to online dating. And I'd like to take a few minutes to talk about that today. Can you talk a little bit about how you see the dating world changing as a result of online dating?
Sure. I think that online dating has become the primary way that people meet new relationships, specifically intimate relationships that they're going to engage in. You know, historically, you would go to a coffee shop, you'd go bowling, you'd go to the movies, you'd engage with people in order to meet potential partners. Mm-hmm. And now we live in a world where everybody wants everything quicker. Everybody wants everything in an easier way. Mm-hmm. And so it's easy to log onto a website or log onto an app and engage in a virtual relationship where sometimes expectations are built around what the relationship is before you even met the person. And while that has some really good aspects to it, it can create some problems for those who are already predisposed to mental health disorders, substance use disorders, or who kind of might be on the path to some unhealthy patterns.
You talked about those people who are predisposed to mental health disorders. Can you discuss a little bit more about how you see online dating potentially impacting mental health?
What my first thought goes to, Kate, is the person who may struggle with anxiety or depression. So the person who it takes every ounce of energy they have to get out of bed and get to the grocery store. It's going to be really easy for them to stay at home and log onto their computer and begin to engage in relationships with people. And the unfortunate thing is it gives them a false sense of connectedness. So part of relationships is having the face-to-face contact, is having touch, is being able to be around other people. And online relationships give this sense that you have a genuine relationship when in fact it can kind of feed into someone's desire for isolation. It can allow them to avoid any emotional discomfort. And relationships are, part of relationships are emotional discomfort. And so it allows people to kind of stay comfortable with the online dating.
So it sounds like connection is something that is paramount when we start looking at the early onset of relationships and some of those early stages. Any wellness tips that you have that you'd like to share with our audience around not only online dating, but how to navigate through some of the earlier stages of developing relationship?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the most important things in developing a new relationship, or even relationships that you're already engaged in, is to be really aware of what your values are. It's easy to get into a relationship with somebody, especially over the internet, and you've created this ideal picture of what your relationship is going to look like, and then you might meet the person 2 weeks or 2 months into this online relationship, and you sit down with the person and you start to think, like, this is not what I thought I was getting, right? So being really aware of what are the values that you hold, and keeping them a priority, not compromising on them. You know, we'll often talk about what are your non-negotiables. What are the things that you just can't accept in a relationship? The other thing is really, you know, we oftentimes think about physical safety as it relates to online dating, but really being aware of emotional safety too. Who are those people that if you go on the date and it's not at all what you expected, that are going to be able to kind of support you in that? And being aware of what your emotional boundaries are. The last thing that's really important when we talk about relationships is taking it slow. You know, we talk about, you know, slowing down to smell the roses. Take your time in a relationship. You want to build kind of some trust in it. You want to build some intimacy in it. So take your time and appreciate all the small moments.
When we look at the importance of recovery, whether that's from mental health issues, if it's from addiction and eating disorder, balance and really taking care of yourself are just so important in recovery. Any additional tips that you can think of for those out there trying to navigate the dating world or early recovery world or early relationship world in recovery?
Yeah, I think that one of the primary things is to have a really firm base in recovery. And when I think of recovery, I don't just think from substance use, I think from a mental health, behavioral health standpoint. And so having a strong support system, having balance, having emotional resiliency, so that if things don't go well, it doesn't, throw you off your game so much that you can't keep on living. So, having the balance and the emotional resiliency, having a strong support system, people that you can bounce ideas off of, and they can tell you if it's a bad idea or a good idea. And really, I think in early recovery, again, for mental health or substance use, being really aware of what your high-risk and dangerous situations are. So it can seem appealing to go out to dinner and to a nice restaurant, but is that going to trigger you to want to have a glass of wine with that? Going to the sports bar, are you going to want to have a beer? Going out to a dance, is that going to trigger your anxiety? So really being aware of kind of what some of your trigger points are and having a plan in place to manage them.
Such helpful information. I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us today. If you have more questions, feel free to visit us at caron.org. Thank you so much for joining us.